Please share any dreams or encounters you're sure happened that you've had involving aliens of any sort. Mine have to deal with the Greys. I'm posting this because something happened to me as I woke up this morning. I describe it as I perceived it to feel in regards to me calling it a dream. At about 6:30, I woke up from my alarm, and dozed off again after a few minutes. I dreamed that I had gotten up, and was standing beside my bed intending to get ready for work, when I suddenly found myself unable to move, and at the same instant I began to hear a somewhat loud sound that sounded like someone was repeatedly pressing down every key on a keyboard with a soft organ/flute setting. Not pleasing to the ear. My mind was overcome with a feeling of what I described to my friend as mental TV static, though I could still think to myself. Slowly, I gained some strength and turned my head to my bedroom window, and standing just outside the window, about 4 or 5 feet in height, was a Grey staring at me. I nearly lost my nerve, but I began to pray, asking Jesus to make this all end now, and as the Grey left and my feeling came back, I woke up with a start in my bed under the blanket as if nothing happened. Checked the clock and it was 6:40. Put me in a really bad mood all morning. I will share another spookier story that happened to me in the next post.
A soft organ/flute setting. The infamous whistling sound before an abduction. There's also the infamous blue light outside your window before the abduction. Also, sometimes praying works and other times it doesn't.
I didn't really see any blue light. One thing that makes me think this was a dream was that in the dream, my room's window faces toward the sunrise, and when I woke up from my alarm, it was a bit light out. In the dream, it was much darker outside and the Grey was illuminated by the porch light quite dimly. Another difference I forgot to mention was that my window blinds are kept with a 4 or so inch gap between the bottom of the blinds and the window border. In the dream, it was open at least 1.5 feet to let me see the Grey staring at me.
When I was 5, I had gotten up in the middle of the night and looked out the window. My mom wasn't in the bed we shared, but I didn't really think anything of it. Nothing out of the ordinary looking out the window at our cul-de-sac, but as I looked to the right of the house, I still vividly remember seeing behind the trees, hanging maybe a few hundred feet away in the air, a dark circle in the sky, not very large, with one central large light, and probably 5 to 7 ones arranged around it on the edge of the disk. All white lights. I remember seeing the central light become brighter, and make a cone of light like a spotlight in the air below. I turned around and a small gray alien wearing something that resembled a swimming wetsuit stood in the doorway to the room. It was very small, I honestly think it might have been shorter than me at age 5. I walked closer to it, and stood a few feet away. I remember it spoke to me, but I don't remember any details. It didn't seem angry or threatening to me, and I'm sure I answered it somehow. Again, can't remember what I said, but afterwards, it left down the hall and that's as far as I remember. The problem is, years and years later, my mom told me that when I was about 5, she had a similar but far worse experience. She said she woke up in a metallic room, and one of these aliens like I had seen was tugging at her arm. She told me it told her horrible things she would not repeat to me, and this went on for some time. She also mentioned it was a very short creature, so with that, and her telling me it happened when I was 5, I feel uneasy wondering if this all happened the same night. I recall she said she prayed and the whole thing ended very quickly.
Wake up. Orange lights shining through window. Should be thinking this shit's messed up. Instead think it's completely normal, like it's supposed to be there. Then it hits me. Feel like I know what's about to happen. Feel helpless like a powerless animal about to be captured by hunters or something. Realize there's something in the corner of the room. Won't let me see it. Keep screwing with my eyes. All black and shadowy in that one corner. My focus just seems to move off of it when I try to look at it. Grab GF. Shake her. She will not move. I refuse to look away from the corner of the room as I'm doing this. Decide that it's likely me that they want, and I'm going to make a run for the bathroom to try and put something in between me and whatever the hell is in my room. Jump off the bed and as soon as my foot touches the floor my body freezes in position. Feels like electricity buzzing through my spine and into my limbs. Start to levitate. Can't shout, can't move. Fear so intense that I'd rather be anywhere else but that room. I'm being rotated to my left as I'm levitating. My screams and shouts for help just come out as little more than whispers. Now I'm facing my GF again and she's just lying there not having moved an inch. The buzzing becomes so intense. My vision goes like TV static. Pass out. Upon waking, my GF was out cold for about 5 to 10 minutes. Wouldn't budge no matter how loud I called her name or how much I shook her. She's normally a very light sleeper, so WTF. Whatever was in that room with us that night was pure goddamn evil.
My first ever astral projection / lucid dreaming. I was launched into space at the speed of light. I felt materiality disintegrated through my body and I entered a bright white light. Then I came back, into my lucid dream, and 2 greys were standing beside my bed. I got scared and made a spirit gun, like on Yu Yu Hakusho, and shot one, which disintegrated into molecules. I never wanted to hurt the A, but I got surprised when I saw them guarding my body and I thought they were going to prob me. All in all, pretty wild, and I wish to master this. Screams and shouts for help just come out as little more than whispers. I know this feeling. My experiences. 6 to 8 years of age. Have recurring dreams of something picking me up, and carrying me out of one room of my house and down the hallway toward the front door. Resistance is impossible with it feeling like being paralyzed and at times limp. Screams and cries for help don't come out at all, or are extremely quiet like a whisper. Have a very vivid dream years later of jumping over fences in my neighborhood, fleeing zombies. Eventually fall from climbing over a fence, and get torn apart by the mob of them. Wake up in mid-swing of trying to fight off the horse, and strike the wall next to my bed. Start to consciously recognize I'm unnaturally fearful of imagery that resembles the typical gray after watching the intro to a UFO YouTube video of a gray walking around a corner and looking at the viewer. Start conditioning myself to hate the imagery instead of fear it from then on. Use black salve to remove what I thought could be an implant over the course of several weeks. A month or so later have a dream of a typical gray standing just outside a doorframe. Give the being a strong sense of rejection as I had been conditioning myself to induce anger instead of fear at the sight of something resembling them. Dream ends and wake up and feel a different lump right in front of my heart that wasn't there before. There were a few others, but those were the most significant experiences. The lump is still there, only partially removed it.
Be around 12-14, dreaming, see UFO out of my window, spooked, suddenly see my head looking over my windowsill. It's a weird guy wearing goggles, wake up. B25, dreaming of being at work, outside, talking with colleague, look up, see UFO, it's a triangular shaped craft, am absolutely amazed, am like look at this transfixed, wake up, 5 grays in my bedroom, I begin to float up, feel weird and disorientated and can't move, freaked but not terrified, try to say the name of Jesus to end the encounter, can't remember the name, try singing, all in my head, can't move, feel myself shrinking from my feel like I'm being pulled down some kind of vacuum cleaner, it's not happening, like they're trying boo can't make it happen. I begin to move around my room, I move in front of one of the beings, the detail of what I'm seeing is disturbing, I can see the pores of their skin, like this isn't a dream. My attention moves to the ceiling, where there's some kind of portal, and more of these beings are coming in my room. They float in with their arms extended and they spin as they float down. Suddenly I hit my bed, and they all fade out.
I shouldn't be reading this thread. I'm alone in the house tonight and that's usually when they come. It's been many years though. 4 or 5 years ago I was up late but in bed. I think I was on my way to sleep but not totally asleep yet. A bright blue light coming through the window at the foot of my bed woke me up and I remember thinking no, this can't be happening to me. I tried to jumping out of bed to run for it but couldn't move. As I struggled and panicked, I looked to my right and was staring a gray right in the face. First thing I saw were the eyes, then deep wrinkles between the brows and dark wrinkles at the ends of the mouth like he was scowling at me. Very angry, evil-looking face. I immediately black out. I shoot awake around 3 a.m., wish I wasn't alone in the house, and go back to sleep with the lights on. I kinda forgot about it like a normal dream, but a year or so later I thought about it again, and that was really the moment I went, holy shit, this is real and really happening. I started thinking about similar dreams all through my childhood. I believed up until that point, but was mostly just afraid of the dark and being outside at night. Now though, I take the phenomenon very seriously and go to bed early when I'm alone so I don't accidentally see them again.
Got 2 dreams. This is the first one I had years ago. I was 22 at the time. I was at the edge of my town that was a farming community. It's dusk. I was crossing the road with my brother while there was a gap in traffic to get to a farm field. Suddenly everything freezes. Cars stop driving. We feel like we're moving in molasses. Everything has this heat mirage effect. A gunmetal gray oval-shaped spacecraft lands in the middle of the road. 3 landing legs come out and a ramp deploys. 6 tall gray beings exit the ship in single file. They are all wearing tight-fitting black turtleneck jumpsuits. They come to me directly. The one in front has a wrinkly face with skin imperfections. Black wraparound eyes. It looks angry, but I didn't do anything wrong. Then I wake up. Dream 2. I was in a gray concrete facility. Lots of glass. Felt like a YMCA. Humans with a multitude of different hair colors were in the building. Some looked not exactly human. Varying ages and ethnicities. I was being led by a white woman with pink hair who told me to follow her. She looked white, but her pupils were different. I didn't listen to her. I tried to run away and escape the building, and this strange 6-foot-tall gray sleeve began to pursue me. As I looked into certain rooms, I could see the same grays from my other dream performing laboratory work. Finally the sleeve caught up to me and it restricted my body, vacuum sealing me. Then I woke up from that. Pic related is what the beings looked like.
Oh, I've got some weird ones over the past 2 years. Things seem to be spinning up. Around March of last year I was shown the Pleiades in a dream, and then I had an entity telling me to step through the white door. She hops into my dreams now and again. She's usually loving and helpful. That's about the most I've gotten from her. I spent a week out in some great stargazing in August and saw a few things that looked like crafts and got some blinks. About a month or so ago, I had a mantid appear in a semi-lucid state. Didn't really interact much, just saw its form in my dreams as it drew away into darkness.
About 4 years ago, I'm pretty sure this was a dream, but I was laying in bed. There was a mirror on my left side. In the mirror I could see the doorway to the next room. Anyway, what I remember, I waking up, looking in the mirror, and seeing a gray standing in the doorway. He had a shocked look on his face, like he didn't expect me to be able to see him, or that he didn't expect me to wake up. He was hearing something like a hooded poncho with a black triangle symbol on it. I attached a sketch I made later.
I've had the red light UFO happen to me too. I remember being lifted up from my room into their UFO like in a stereotypical movie, second-floor apartment building. I would say roughly about 50 to 100 feet above it. There were plenty more ships around that I got a glimpse of, as I spiraled outside their ship. Their ship was disc-like. I can't remember, it's pretty vague. It happened in like 2016-17-ish. They spoke English to me and I remember them giving me an ID. Random numbers and the word M. They said it was special that they don't give letters to many. They could read your memories, and looking at posts it seems like they can stop time. That's pretty much it. I remember them reading my memories, as well, and having jokes and whatnot. That's all that I remember. Also, I didn't go into their ship, I just remember hovering outside of it. So I'm pretty sure they froze my sleep state into the moment before they took me into their ship. Pretty odd why they would want to abduct humans, with such technological feats. Considering they are watching you poop and touch yourself at night. I guess gray or green Jesus wants to study you in his slasher/non-binary BDSM space basement/dungeon. Point of privilege, you are a dactyly.
I was in jail, asleep in a cell but had no cellmate. You know how you wake up a little bit when you roll over? Yeah, I did them once, but halfway through the rolling over I got paralyzed, so I was caught lying on my back and couldn't move or make any noise. I realized the light was on, not something I could control, lights out automatically at 9 p.m. So I'm there thinking it was morning and it's time to out for roll call. Tried to move but couldn't. I got angry and forced myself to get out of bed. I rolled over the rest of the way and fell out of the bed. There were 4 or 5 beings in the room, all except one was the size of a child, the other was as tall as me. Dunno who or what they were, but I remember thinking, who the hell are these cunts? On my way to the floor as I fell. They sure as hell weren't human, they were those stereotypical greys. As soon as I hit the floor I got my movement back and the lights were off. Weird.
Yeah, I've had a few. The first one was of walking down my childhood school road, looking up and seeing a fridge-shaped UFO materialize from cloud material. It then flew straight to me and zapped me. Others have been similar. I'm in a meadow, walking. I notice a small faraway brown UFO flying overhead. It fills me with fear and I run. Another, I lay in bed. A Pac-Man cylindrical-shaped UFO made of matte metal flies matter-of-factly past and through the window. It has a dark void in the mouth that it will suck me into. Paralyzed, I'm scared shitless. Another, a dream I get warnings not to look into UFOs and stop my research. They sent a corny-looking bodybuilder all in silver, silver winter jacket, silver skin, silver sunglasses. He had a white halo around him and oozed fear. I woke up with a clear message of staying away.
Was a kid asleep. Woke up to room filled with bright white light, felt entranced. Managed to snap out of it, say, WTF to myself, calm down, then go back to sleep. Sleep is disturbed by bright white light again, filling room accompanied by the flute tone op mentions. Look at my TV, see one gray type being standing and one sitting down chilling in my swivel chair. Feel paralyzed, scream out, Dad must have heard, and he came running in my room and it all went and they left as he came barging in.
I hated aliens as a child and feared they would snuggle me. So every night I would sleep with my back against the wall so I wouldn't get snuggled. I get older now, I'm 18, I think aliens are cool, I want to go to space with them. Get trippy dreams of flying spaceships and hanging with aliens. Felt like I was a alien hero but I could not keep my memory. Life goes on. No Nut November trend was happening, decided to give myself a challenge. Realize I am a degenerate sinner and repent and accept Jesus Christ as my Savior. Next night the Greys attack me and reach their hands out and try to grab me through a window. Try to push myself away from their horrible hands, kick and plead to my Lord to save me. They withdraw and that's the last I ever see of them.
Yeah, I was reading a lot of Valet and Keel, and trying to find shit out. Maybe it messed with my subconscious. But I had a couple of dreams like it. One in which some chick I was talking to turned out to be a Grey. Once I noticed something was off about her. Always felt like they communicated to me not to study this, always sending these vibes of very strong fright. They stay with me. My theory is that aliens, abduction etc. are psychic more than they are physical. Or astral maybe. Jinn, demons, fairies, what have you. They're real but not physically necessarily. It's weird. Do I even believe that? I don't know. But I do think that if you look at the phenomenon, it will look at you.
This is so true it hurts me to type it actually. I started looking into all of this with the 2020 UFO special. Government says UFOs are real, WTF, better look into that. Kinda went off the deep end and absorbed a lot, but then started to back off after a couple months because it was just too consuming. This is when things get weird. About a month after not really paying too much attention to UFOs, aliens, paranormal, etc., my brother who lives with me calls me around midnight to go outside. He doesn't believe in anything really and he thought hallucinating, but there was this weird pure ball of white, a red and green line/light wrapped around the orb. He said it was zipping in the sky doing zigzags and all that. I saw it slowly move by Jupiter and then arc and flash. Okay, so just saw my first UFO, weird. Was in the bathroom a few nights after that. Washing my face, thinking about random crap. When it hits me like a lightning bolt out of the blue. The feeling of a presence in there with me. I felt this energy hit my brain and radiate in chunks down my spine. It was so sudden and intrusive. My brain just knew there was a gray there with me. That is what it felt like. On a scale of 1 to 10 on the feeling of presence, it was a effing 100. I didn't see anything, but I truly expected to. I was in primal fear mode. The fear feeling it generated was so strong I physically felt it penetrate my nervous system from top to bottom. Never felt anything close to that ever. More weird shit. After seeing that object one night, I lay in bed. Not really tired. I usually grab my phone or maybe switch and play a bit before trying to sleep. This night, after a minute of laying down getting cozy, I'm suddenly in like a trance. The scene changes and I am in this hallway of brain matter that I intuitively knew was my own mind. And I was there in the first person, standing, unable to move. In front of me was this old wrinkled gray. The dream.
The dream felt like an intrusive vision forced on me. The old hyper-detailed gray opened up his hand and a yellow orb of flight flew out of it and flew right between my eyes. That is when I snapped out of it and was like, WTF just happened. The experience felt intrusive. The bathroom presence feeling felt extremely intrusive. I have never felt what I would describe as an intrusive thought, but these felt like it and felt external to my mind. My girlfriend has seen on 2 occasions shadows in her house. She will have intrusive thoughts to go look up at the sky at 2 a.m., then a wave of fear will come over here and she fears for our 2-year-old and doesn't go. This all happened since May. I'm not LARPing or making up anything. I'd seriously like to talk to some legit paranormal expert if such a thing existed. I went from atheist skeptic to laughing at myself for being so ignorantly close-minded. Never had anything I studied in real life begin to manifest itself around me. There are more things that happen, but those are the main ones. Like, WTF is going on? I just want some answers or help or advice from anyone that's had this happen to them.
A friend of mine and I were about 14 to 15 here in NZ, and whilst walking from my house to his we had to walk maybe and estimated 5 miles into the bush, and over hills, making it to the northernmost face of Pukekohe Hill. We looked easterly to the Bombay Hills, and got to see these great blue lights zipping around and illuminating the whole night sky, and a couple years later we brought it up in conversation with one of my friends, younger brothers who lived out them ways, and he corroborated our story saying he was woken up by a weird light display above his house. Turns out another buddy we have, who lives rather close to it, has a book written entirely about their house and UFO sightings out in the Bombay Hills. Story wasn't too eventful, but it did kinda hold my attention at the time for like a week.
I saw an UFO, plus something that might have been an UFO, plus I used to have a lot of dreams about aliens, not sure if I actually saw them in dreams, mostly it was UFOs. It would either be I'm in my bed, see bright light, UFO floating outside the window, wake up, or long dreams with a mounting sense of dread where I'd know a UFO is hunting me, culminating in abduction, and fear so powerful I'd wake up. My nose gets stuffed when I'm on my back, and those dreams would often happen when I was sleeping on my back. So that might have caused them. My house got raided by police and I was arrested through no fault of my own, let go almost immediately, but now my dreams have cops instead of UFOs. I've seen a UFO when I was a kid, my parents also saw it, Dad still remembers, bunch of floating lights above ground. We walked up to it out of curiosity, couldn't figure out what it was, then left. Maybe we got abducted that time, I don't know. Something that might have been a UFO was when I was walking my pet at night, a satellite-type light in the sky that did two perfectly sharp 90-degree turns, its brightness or speed never changed, and it just flew out of sight. I also had a hilarious sleep paralysis dream that felt as real as UFO dreams. Parents bought me a bicycle and I loved it, and that night I dreamt that a bunch of tiny black blobs appeared in my bedroom, some of them held me down and the rest stole the bike.
Posted this one in a/k/repeat thread ages ago. Story is from an ex-military guy I know from the pub. Says he'll be there in 4 hours, will radio when he's near the airstrip. Gets close to airstrip, radios the couple in. No reply. Circles and tries again, still no reply. Goes to airstrip in the next town over. Tells the lads working there the couple never picked up their radio. They call the police. Police come around to them, they all travel to the airstrip the couple own. Get there about 2 or 3 a.m. The lights in the house are off but the spotlights are on, some were shining off into the hill. They walk around the side of the house where the dogs are kept. 2 things they notice right away. The dogs are dead but there was no sign of physical harm on them, they all had looks of terror on their face, it appears they were literally scared to death. Second thing was the side of the house was riddled with bullet holes but they were fired from the inside out. They go into the house to find the couple dead on the ground with the man's AR-15 in his hand. They had a look of fear and shock on their faces, same as the dogs, and they were said to have died the same way as the dogs. Police radio it in. At dawn most of the other police and paramedics get there, and so do some lads from the Air Force. They saw them talking to police, then came over the locals and told them to get out of there, and don't tell anyone what they saw or may have heard. The guy who told the lad from the pub I go to, was in the US Air Force and was involved with Project Blue Book, and other UFO-related business. He told him strange lights and other strange events had went down in the area the night of the incident.